Now, the United States' most critical industrial engine is about to hit a brick wall, and no one's really talking about it. Now, over the next few months, American consumers are going to get a very hard, very expensive lesson in just how reliant this supposed energy superpower actually is on our neighbors to the north. Now, right now, there's a couple headlines that are trickling in, but are mostly being ignored. We're talking about a new crude squeeze hitting U.S. refineries. Right now, starting next week in September, Canada is cutting its oil sands output by roughly 300,000 barrels per day. And if you listen to the spin that's about to come out from the White House, what you're going to think that this is an act of economic warfare. Right? You think that Canada just decided to shut off the taps to punish the American working class right before midterms. But that is a complete fiction. So here's the reality, and it's going to be backed by raw data. So the production cut is routine. It's scheduled maintenance. It happens every single year. And everyone in the energy sector knew that this was coming. So why is a scheduled, totally normal 300,000 barrel per day hiccup in Canadian crude flow suddenly threatening to become a catastrophic global crisis? That would be because of the Trump administration's reckless and catastrophic war in the Middle East now, isn't it? Because the global supply chain is completely stretched to the breaking point, and the United States at this point has absolutely zero buffer left. Before we look at the actual numbers, go ahead and like and subscribe, boost the signal of our pirate broadcast as much as we can because midterms are coming up and this information needs to get out there. So as of this week, U.S. refineries are redlining at an alarming 97.4% capacity. Right? They're processing 17.4 million barrels of crude every single day. They're burning through their equipment, desperately trying to compensate for a global market thrown into chaos by this administration's failed foreign policy. Specifically, like I said, the escalations in Iran and the subsequent disruptions across the Strait of Hormuz and the Strait of Bab el-Mandeb. The White House, the Trump administration, decided to plunge the Middle East into further instability, fundamentally breaking the global supply of middle distillates. Now, to make up for that lost fuel, American refiners have been running at breakneck pace, sucking up every single drop of Canadian crude that they can get their dirty, grubby little hands on, right? And just to keep the lights on and the supply chains actually moving. And what's worse, this year, they failed to prepare, and now that bill is going to come due. When you're running your entire refining infrastructure at 97.4% capacity just to survive, you can't handle a speed bump. And this Canadian maintenance season is a massive speed bump. Now, under normal circumstances, refiners prepare for this September dip by pulling oil out of the commercial storage. But they can't do that this year because there is almost nothing left to pull out. U.S. distillate inventories, the physical fuel that powers our freight trains, our trucks, our tractors, are sitting 14% below the 5-year average. The Strategic Petroleum Reserve, right, the emergency vault that's supposed to protect the American public from price shocks, it's been drained down to levels that we haven't seen since the 1980s. The administration burned through 172 million barrels of emergency safety net just to cover up their geopolitical blunders. And now we, the American people, are entirely exposed. Let's look at the timeline of this because we actually have one. Because the economic pain is going to roll down the hill in very distinct phases, and it's going to hit right in the middle of the midterms in November. Now, phase one does hit immediately. Within days of the Canadian tap slowing down, wholesale diesel and spot crude prices, they're going to spike. The traders on Wall Street know that the supply is missing, and they're immediately going to price in the scarcity. Now, phase two happens about a week or two later, and that's when the price jump translates directly to the retail pump. Because gas stations operate on razor-thin margins, they have to pass that wholesale premium straight to the consumer. And that's when the rockets and feather effect really take hold. So in September, what you're going to see is prices shoot up like a rocket. But the real devastation doesn't really even come until phase three, and that's roughly a month from now. Right? This squeeze is colliding directly with the North American agricultural harvest. When diesel prices skyrocket, the cost to run farming combines, machinery, the cost to load freight trains, the cost to dispatch long-haul trucks, it all explodes. By late October, right as voters are actually heading to the ballot box, that massive surge in freight surcharges are going to show up at retail shelves. Right? Groceries, consumer goods, basic necessities. The inflation is going to be undeniable, unavoidable, and deeply painful. Understand that this is 100% happening. This isn't a conspiracy. This isn't some kind of psychic forecast. This is announced. This is happening. It happens every year. So who's going to bear the brunt of this, right? Because it's not Canada. The Canadian operators in Alberta who are actually slowing down production are completely insulated from the damage because they're the ones restricting the supply. Right? They're going to sell slightly fewer barrels, yes, but at a massive price premium. So the walkaway is going to be highly profitable. The squeeze hits the United States. Right? It hits the American logistics companies, the American farmers, the American families. And because the U.S. is a vital exporter, keeping Europe, Latin America really afloat right now, this entirely preventable domestic bottleneck is going to export our inflation globally. Mexico, Brazil, the UK, they're all going to be fighting for a shrinking pool of U.S. diesel. And even if they're not buying from the United States, understand that these are all priced in globally. So a shortage coming from the United States means that the price of diesel worldwide goes up. Now, of course, watch the political theater unfold over the next 8 weeks. A crisis that was 100% preventable. Right? A vulnerability created entirely by disastrous foreign policy, trade wars, depleted strategic reserves, is about to be weaponized. The White House knows they can't defend their record on energy stability. Right? This impending strategy that we're going to start hearing is to paint our northern neighbors as enemies of the Republic. They're going to frame this routine, mathematically predictable Canadian maintenance schedule as a targeted trade war against the U.S. economy and the U.S. people. And this is where the grift comes in. And this is why, while they scream about unfair trade practices, what they're hoping that you don't actually look into is the financial disclosures. Because the new report that came out from the Joint Economic Committee revealed exactly what the president's been doing while overseeing the Iran war that actually broke the global energy supply chain. So according to his own financial disclosures, President Trump held $45.6 million in oil and gas stocks at the end of 2025. Today, right, thanks to the massive profits big oil has actually raked in during the conflicts, that portfolio surged by $61.1 million. Right, that's a $15.5 million gain directly tied to the volatility that his policies created. And it does get worse. Of course it does. Because the committee found that in just the first 3 months of 2026, the exact window when the U.S. launched operations in Venezuela and started the Iran war, the president personally bought up another $3.6 million in oil and gas stocks. Let me be absolutely clear here. Since the start of the war, Americans have paid an additional $71.5 billion for their gas. While American refineries are redlining, while the strategic reserve is practically empty, while you're about to pay record prices for diesel needed to actually harvest this country's food, the man who caused the bottleneck is making a fortune off the chaos. We all knew that it was happening, but now we actually know that it's true. And it's not just a feeling. But they're going to blame Ottawa to shield themselves from the reality that their own geopolitical recklessness left the United States completely exposed. They're going to use Canada as a scapegoat to distract their base, and it's going to work because they know that the supporters are eagerly going to project the failures of U.S. policy onto anyone but the president. It's a cycle of insanity. We're watching the most critical industry in the country get wrecked by sheer incompetence. And the people that are actually responsible, they're not just blaming our most reliable trade partner. They're actively profiting from the destruction. Let me know what you think in the comment sections. Food for thought as always. Take care.